Good Monday evening. Welcome back to Martin's Koi Pond Aquatics and Fishing. So we're in front of the 6-foot display tank, and at the minute it's got all my grow on fish in it. So there's 6 of Adam Lucky's Ranchus in here, 3 Ryukin, 3 Calico Moors and 2 Aranda. Now, what is going on in this tank, which isn't obvious from the filming, is there's a lot of detritus collecting around the base of the sponge filters, around the bases of these plastic plants, around the backs of these rocks. And I don't really like that, because when I do a water change and I put water back in, it all gets blasted around the tank and makes an absolute mess. Excuse me. Plus, I'm not a fan of this coral sand or gravel with goldfish, because I think it's a bit sharp for them. So what I'm thinking of doing is taking out all the decor, all the substrate, and going bare tank with just 2 air stones, so the sponge filters will go as well. I don't need the sponge filters, there's a massive sump filtration under there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Getting the rocks out is going to be difficult, because the tank is 2.5 feet deep and my arms aren't 2.5 feet long, and those stones actually are very heavy. But I've got an idea how I might get them out. Anyway, it's enough of me jabbering on about what I'm gonna do. When I come back to you, hopefully some of the stuff will be out, and at some point I'll explain to you how I plan on removing all that sand without taking the fish out of the tank. So I'll get back to you in a bit. Well, welcome back. As you can see, the rocks and the plastic plants and the sponge filters are gone. They're all currently here on the table. Now, I used that big net to lift the rocks up, and I used a bit of wood with a couple of nails on the end, or screws on the end, to maneuver the boulders into the net. So it was a bit touch and go as I brought it up over the lip, but they're all out, the tank's not damaged, and the auto top-up's currently working at overtime, because obviously there's a lot of displacement of water for all the items I took out. Now, the fish were largely unaffected, they all stayed up this end. But look at all the detritus. Look at all that muck that was behind and underneath those rocks. Absolutely minging. So that's all going to come out. My 2 golden bristlenose plex are still alive. They're a breeding pair, although they'll have nowhere to breed now I've took the rocks out. They used to breed underneath the rocks. Well, that detritus in that corner there, look. So not a lot's going to happen with it for a couple of days, because I'm at work, unless I decide to crack on with it after work tomorrow. But I am off work Thursday, Friday. I've got a few things I've got to do on those days, but my plan is to get all this coral gravel out and have a bare bottom tank. So I'll get back to you when I'm doing that, whether it's tomorrow night or Friday. Well, good Tuesday morning, welcome back, and we're going to start taking out this gravel. Now what I've got here, I've got a couple of buckets, and I've got this 1-inch pressure pipe connected to a 1-inch flexi hose, which will run into the bucket, and it sort of creates a super siphon strong enough to suck up the gravel. So basically I'm obviously going to suck on the end of there, set the siphon going, fill these 2 buckets, hopefully with more gravel than water, then go and empty them into some plastic bags I've got outside and rinse and repeat that process. So I only got time before work to do a few, but it'll be a start. So without further ado, I'll get these 2 buckets full and then show you. Right, well, that worked pretty well. As you can see, I've cleared out most of that corner. Both buckets are full, so I've got to go and tip off the water, then put the gravel in a plastic bag, and then repeat the process. So it's going to take quite a while, obviously, to clear the whole tank, but it does work, and they'll just get lots of water changes while I'm doing it, so you know, it's not a bad thing for the fish either. Anyway, I'll come back to you when we're all done, which probably will be later in the week. Well, welcome back. I've got half of it done, but it dropped the level so much it was creating the siphon difficult. So I am, well, not difficult, but I was getting a mouthful of water. So I'm refilling it, and I will finish it off after work this evening, but I'm already really liking how it looks up that end. So that's where we are. I will be back to you later. Well, welcome back, and it's Tuesday afternoon now, back from work, and I've got most of the sand gravel out. So what I'm going to do now is use a smaller siphon and just hoover up these last bits, hopefully. We had a bit of a mess up. One of the Ryukin just would not go away from the end of the siphon and ended up going for a ride down the siphon tube. It doesn't look great, if I'm honest with you. It's that one there that's sort of, yeah. Anyway, we'll see how he gets on over the next 24 hours or so. I might take the Ryukin and Calicos out of here actually, and just leave the 6 Ranchu in and put 8 of my bigger fish in with the 6 Ranchu. Still debating that in my head at the minute, but we'll see what I decide. So, but yeah, loving it at the minute. Right, back to you in a bit. Well, welcome back, and as you can see, all is finished. The fish have been swapped around a bit. So we have now, fish-wise in this tank, what I want, which is 8 larger fish and my 6 Ranchu. My 6 small Ranchu, so because there is a big Ranchu in here already. All the gravel stroke sand has gone. Well, there's little odd specks of it, but over the weeks I will be able to siphon that out as I do my regular maintenance of the tank. Yeah, I do about a 60% water change every week minimum. some weeks I'll do 2 or 3 of those water changes. The thing is, goldfish are extremely messy. If you want a pristine tank with crystal clear water all the time, then these probably aren't the fish for you, because they poop a lot, they eat a lot, and what goes in comes out, and it collects in the tank and in the filters. So what fish have I added? Well, there's this red-capped oranda, who's probably about 4 to 5 inches body-wise, and I've had him since he was quite small, and he's grown like that with me keeping him. Get a bit closer. Everyone should have a golf ball fish, pearl scale. It's about the size of a tangerine. Lovely fish, and it's one that I've been keeping an eye on because of possible swim bladder problems, but he's been absolutely fine. And you got the panda oranda and a chocolate oranda, which is going very, very dark. His head has gone almost black, so I'm wondering if he's going to change into a black oranda, which I would be very, very happy about if he does. But I'm quite happy if he stays chocolate as well. Moving on, we've got my calico rancho, which is here, and so I've had that since it was quite a small fish. Bought it from Swallow Aquatics, and he's grown really well. And down there is my black moor, which was one of my first cold water fish when I started keeping fish about 42 years ago, I think it was. And the first tank I ever had in my bedroom as a sort of 15-year-old lad was a black moor, so quite nostalgic to have one again. Now this guy is now about 3 to 4 inches, probably 3.5. I got him as a little 1-inch baby, so again he's grown really well with me. And finally, just a couple of fantails, nothing fancy, but I just like them. I just like the coloration of them, and they're growing huge. I mean, the one with the red head is probably the biggest fish in the tank. They don't like me filming them though. And this one, I just think this is a pretty fish. It's got a lovely tail, and I'm really happy with those 2 fantails. So we've finished. The tank is converted to a Decor-less tank setup. Now if you want to make one of those super siphons for removing sand or gravel from your tank, remember you need a 1-inch pressure pipe and 1-inch flexible hose. I would recommend 1 inch because I don't get any clogging when I use that. If you use anything like 1/2 inch or even maybe 3/4 inch, you probably will find you get clogging of the substrate as it gets sucked up. But I had absolutely zero clogging sucking all that. I think it was 25 kilos of substrate I had in here out. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like how I've changed the tank. I certainly do. The wife doesn't, but it's my tank at the end of the day. So I'll catch you in the next video.